Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Thousand Oaks City Council meeting for March 19th. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Irwin?
Here.
Councilmember Price?
Here.
Councilmember Adam?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Fox?
Here.
Mayor Bill De La Pena?
Present. Thank you. Now, item number 4, there are requests, apparently, a request of applicant to continue item 9B to a date uncertain. And I would need a motion for that. I'll make the motion to move to continue item 9B. Any questions? Okay. Oh, you move. Okay, that's fine. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. All right, now we move to special presentations and announcements. Just give me a moment to move over to the podium. We will begin with Andrea Gallagher, President of Senior Concerns. If you could please join me. Okay. Good evening, Andrea, and welcome to City Hall. The reason you're here is because tomorrow is Meals on Wheels Day. That's tomorrow, March 20th, and I will be joining Senior Concerns as they deliver meals to homebound seniors in our community to ensure that they receive healthy, well-balanced meals. Senior Concerns delivers hot lunches and light dinners 364 days a year, and that amounted to 45,000 meals last year. That's amazing. Andrea, can you please tell our audience more about what the Meals on Wheels program does? And you can go ahead. No, actually, go ahead and use this microphone. Okay.
Yes. Meals on Wheels does a few things in the community. First of all, it provides nutrition to homebound seniors, and in addition to that, it offers a friendly visit every day and a little bit of a safety check. What we find is that when seniors are well nourished, their incidence of hospitalization and other challenges is reduced. So this is a tremendous community partnership also with Los Robles Hospital.
Great. All right, and here is a proclamation in honor of Meals on Wheels Day, whereas Senior Concerns is committed to ensuring that homebound seniors in our community are provided with healthy, well-balanced meals each and every day, and whereas through the Meals on Wheels program, Senior Concerns delivers freshly prepared meals, including hot lunches and light dinners. And whereas Senior Concerns has provided approximately $80,000 in scholarships for the Meals on Wheels program to ensure that no one is ever turned away. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the entire City Council, we do hereby proclaim March 20th as Meals on Wheels Day with special recognition to Senior Concerns. Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.
Yes, you will. Thank you very much.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And next, I would like to invite John Brooks, Senior Analyst in Environmental Programs for the City. Hi there. Good evening. All right. And Saturday, March 23rd, from 8:30 to 9:30 in the evening, we declare it Earth Hour. And during this hour, that's 8:30 in the evening, we ask that all citizens, businesses, organizations, and governmental agencies do turn off all non-essential lighting and commit to reducing their carbon footprints and conserving energy in the coming year. To show our participation, the city will be turning off non-essential lights in public buildings, allowing for energy conservation and to raise awareness about global climate change as part of Earth Hour. And John, please accept this proclamation on behalf of our residents and businesses. And I will just read a portion of it. Whereas the City of Thousand Oaks has assumed a leadership role in climate mitigation efforts through participation in the Climate Registry, and whereas the city has taken steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through the use and development of renewable energy, the purchase of hybrid cars, expanding recycling programs, development of a green business certification program, and the construction of LEED buildings in new municipal construction to ensure a healthy and vibrant community. And so, again, on behalf of the entire City Council, we proclaim March 23rd as Earth Hour from 8:30 in the evening to 9:30 in the evening. And here you go. Congratulations, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
All right. And our last presentation, I would like to invite Terry McCullum of the Conejo Schools Foundation to the podium. The foundation is hosting an upcoming all-district musical festival in the Kavli Theater in April and May. And Terry brought a few students to give us a sample of what we will see and hear at the festival. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my privilege to have produced the All-District Music Festival for the last 10 years in the Kavli Theater. What this is a compilation of 4 nights of choir festival, 2 nights of string festival, and 3 nights of band festivals, each night with approximately 500 students on stage at the Kavli. And this kind of performance is an incentive to all our kids to perform not only currently, but continue on through all of the levels, all the way through high school. By providing this event, you as a city council and your staff have given us the ability to house these kids in a performance environment that's just second to none. And we are just so grateful that we can do that, and we've been able to do it for the last 10 years. If you add all those numbers up, you discover that over those 9 nights that we will have more than 20% of the students in the Conejo Unified School District on stage at the Kavli. So it's a wonderful, wonderful event, and we really appreciate all of the efforts that your staff and you have done to make sure that we can have this event, and we appreciate it. In addition to the city, the Alliance for the Arts, the Arts Council of Conejo Valley, Conejo Rec and Parks, Conejo Unified School District, and Conejo Schools Foundation come together to make this happen, along with some very special partners as of last year and this year, Richard and Mary Carpenter. And we want to continue to thank them for their additional help, as well as everything that you have done to make all of this happen, so that our students from elementary all the way through high school can perform in one of the most incredible stages around. Tonight we have 2 performers from Newbury Park High School that we would like to present for you, Haley Cheney and Sarah Klein.
Thank you. And just so for the council, after the students perform, we would like to take a picture with all of you.
Sweetness and the sorrow,
wish me luck the same to you. But I can't regret what I did for love, what I did for love. Look, my eyes are dry. The gift was ours to borrow. It's as if we always knew. But I won't forget what I did for love, what I did for love. Gone, love is never gone. As we travel on, love's what we'll remember. Say goodbye and point me toward tomorrow. We did what we had to do. Won't forget, can't regret what I did for love, what I did for love, what I did for love.
In on a girl with a hunger for fame and a face and a name to remember. The past fades away because as of this day, Norma Jean's gone. She's moving on. Her smile and your fantasies play a duet that will make you forget where you are. The music starts playing. It's the beat of her heart saying, let me be your star. Flashback to a girl with a song in her heart as she's waiting to start the adventure. The fire and drive that make dreams come alive, they fill her soul. She's in control. The drama, the laughter, the tears just like pearls. Well, they're all in this girl's repertoire. It's all for the taking, and its magic will be making. Let me be your star. I'll just have to forget the hurt that came before, forget what used to be. The past is on the cutting room floor, the future is here with me. Choose me. Fade up on a star with it all in her sights. Love and the lights that surround her. Someday she'll have to pay, but not today. She'll do all she can for the love of one man and for millions who love from afar. I'm what you've been needing. It's all here and my heart's bleeding. Let me be your star.
Wow. Thank you. What wonderful talent we have in our community, voice and piano and so much more. Thank you so very much. And please, if you would join us to have a picture taken with the entire council. What a great way to start a city council meeting. All right, we now have public comments, item number 6. Madam Clerk.
This is the time and place for public comments. The speaker card is available for those wishing to address the City Council regarding items on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction. Speakers for public hearing items shall be called and heard during the public hearing. All remarks should be addressed to the council as a whole, and all documents for City Council and the official record should be presented to the City Clerk prior to speaking. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Under state law, public comment matters may not be considered by the council unless listed on the agenda, but may be referred to the city manager for administrative follow-up. 12 people have presented cards, and pursuant to council standards, speakers are allowed 3 minutes. The yellow light displays when you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you. I'm going to call the first 3 speakers, and if you would just get in line after the speaker in front of you or ahead of you, I would appreciate it. Our first speaker is Hector Castro, followed by Richard and Elaine Williams, and Effie Sklavanitis. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. Hector Castro. I'm the Director of Football Operations at Westlake High School. We'd like to thank you for allowing us to come tonight and say a few comments. As some of you may know, the Warrior football program will be traveling this year for their first football game to Hawaii on August 19th to play Waipahu High School and Kamehameha High School. Part of that program is raising the money to get there. And tonight, some of our boys here would like to say a few comments on just a few of the fundraisers that we have set for them to help them raise money to get to that trip. I'd like to introduce Zach Morris.
Good evening, Mayor and council members of the city staff. I'm Zach Morris, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. A few of the things I'll be talking about is this evening we're talking about the fact that we're going to Hawaii, and the Warriors will be opening our 2013 season in Hawaii. Coach Bankert has put together a string of fundraisers for us to raise money to go to our trip. A few of the things will actually be one of the things will be held on April 20th at 8 a.m. Swap Meet fundraiser at Westlake High School. We would like all of you guys to come. Again, if you didn't get that date, it's April 20th at 8 a.m. Swap Meet fundraiser. I'd like to hand it over to Tommy Gonzalez. Thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm Tommy Gonzalez, and on May 24th at the Canyon Club, there will be a concert featuring Kevin Cronin and REO Speedwagon to benefit the Warrior football program. Kevin is being generous enough to donate every single dollar to Westlake, so I encourage everyone to come. Please support us. Thank you. Darius Pega.
Hi, I'm Darius Pego. On June 28th, we're going to have a dinner at the Cannon Club celebrating 35 years of Warrior football. It will be consisting of a roast of Coach Bankert and Coach Contreras. We will be inviting all Warrior players, coaches, and staffs from the last 35 years to help us celebrate and raise money for the Westlake football program. And ticket information will be found on the Canyon Club website. Tanner Gee.
Hi, I'm Tanner Gee, and I just wanted to thank you guys again for all your love and support, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, but I thought Councilmember Fox was picking up the tab. The whole. Just kidding. Good luck with everything.
Thanks again, and have a good night.
Next up, we have Richard and Elaine Williams, followed by Effie Sklavenitis.
Hi, I'm Richard Williams, and this is my lovely and talented wife, Elaine. We're the co-chairs of the Thousand Oaks Arts Festival, and we came here tonight to give you a kind of a status report on where we are for this year's festival. Last year was our 9th festival overall, and I'm sure you're aware, you've all been to it. I know you have. It was a great event, and we had a marvelous turnout. The weather was cooperated very nicely, and we appreciated that. And we're looking forward to another festival this year, the 10th festival, and so it's been around for a little while. We've grown in stature with respect to the visual artists who present at the festival this year. Last year, we were oversold. We had to return a number of applications because we were limited in the amount of space we have available in the park, which is a good thing, because that means that the artists realize that this is a venue for which they will get good exposure, and it will be something that will be beneficial to them, and that's very important. At the festival last year, we had an honorary chair, Daniel Stern. Daniel Stern was in Home Alone, and he was an outstanding honorary chair, and he had a great venue at the festival itself, and we appreciated his help. Jane Seymour actually showed up on Sunday. Jane has been our honorary chair for 2 of the festivals, and she was always welcome to have her there. And we had a featured artist named Fred Stone, and Fred Stone is an internationally known equine artist, and one of the reasons we're here tonight is to present you a poster. It's called Partner, and it was done after 9/11, and it was done to raise money for the ASPCA, for the rescue dogs, and for the firemen, the families of the firemen who passed away as a result of the attack on 9/11. So my wife will hand these to you. It was signed by Fred again, and by the way, just so you know, there's a copy of this poster in the White House, so you can feel rest assured that it's a commemorative, and we're happy to do that. We don't have an honorary chair for this coming year, but we're working on that right now, and we hope to get one in the near future. So thank you for your support. We couldn't have a festival without the city's support, and we're happy to have your continued support to the festival. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Williams and Elaine Williams. Our next speaker, and I apologize for not pronouncing your last name correctly, it is Effie Sklavenitis.
You did a very good job. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is Effie Sklavenitis of Thousand Oaks, and I am this year's chair of the Thousand Oaks Youth Commission. I am also the chair for the Resource Center Subcommittee and have been working on the project for over 2 years. I am very happy to announce that we opened Conejo Connections Resource Center on March 5th. We are open from noon to 6 p.m., Tuesday through Sunday at the Oaks Shopping Center lower level food court, so please stop by and visit us. If you have questions about services and volunteering in the Conejo Valley, answers are available at the Conejo Connections Resource Center. Fabulous Center volunteers use a database to help guests find answers to questions regarding services and volunteer opportunities available in our community. In the afternoon and weekends, teams consist of a senior adult and a youth volunteer. I know from our youth team's perspective, this has been a wonderful learning process and experience for an opportunity for us. I work at the center with my brother Ulysses on Sundays, so we really enjoy it. Partners collaborating to enrich our community on this project include the City of Thousand Oaks, Council on Aging and Youth Commission, Conejo Youth Employment Services, Conejo Recreation and Park District, Retired Senior and Volunteer Program, the Oaks Shopping Center, and Senior Concerns. We are always looking for more volunteers. If anyone out there is 15 or older and interested in serving, please call 805-381-7362 for information, or visit our website www.conejoconnections.org. A grand opening celebration will take place April 9th, 2013 at 4 p.m., and you are all invited to join us. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Effie, and thank you for the wonderful work that you do along with the Commission, and Francine Spriegel, too.
Thank you, and thank you as well.
All right, we have Courtney Brousseau, followed by Lori Sorensen and Natalia Staniva.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Brousseau, and I'm also from the Thousand Oaks Youth Commission with Effie. As you know, the city's Public Works Department received a large grant to raise awareness about recycling and litter abatement at schools. Recently, the Youth Commission has been working closely with Public Works, and we wanted to let you know a little bit about what we're doing. First of all, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/CVUSD Recycles, which I encourage everyone to look at and to like. Additionally, through the waste audits that the Public Works Department led, we found that 1,373 water bottles are used every day at CVUSD high schools. We wanted to make this number more tangible to people at high schools, and to do this, we built a large water bottle sculpture out of 1,200 water bottles, and it is about 6 feet tall. It's currently at Newbury Park High School, and it recently toured Westlake High School and TO High School, and it's going to make its final stop at the city's Arbor Day Earth Celebration on April 13th, and I'd encourage you all to check it out if you haven't gotten a chance to already. Additionally, if you need any more information on the city's litter abatement and recycling campaign, you can visit cvusdrecycles.org, and again, like our Facebook page, facebook.com/cvusdrecycles. I'd like to end with a statistic. Again, 1,373 water bottles are used every day at CVUSD high schools, and along with that, 359 cans are used every day. If we recycle every single one of these, we can make a lot of revenue for our schools, and we can help the environment. So I encourage you to make sure every one of those is recycled, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Great job. I also wanted to mention quickly regarding the kiosk at the mall that Effie talked about. I think the grand opening will be in April, right? April 9th. Okay. All right, in the afternoon from 4 to 6. So if anybody's interested in going. All right, Lori Sorensen, followed by Natalia Staniva and Steve Gibney.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council and staff. My name is Lori Sorensen, a 32-year resident of Westlake Village, Thousand Oaks, and Administrative Director of Pacific Festival Ballet, your resident ballet company here at our beautiful Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Plaza, a title that we proudly embrace. I'm happy to announce that again this past December, we broke ticket sales records. 5,000 audience members enjoyed our 19th annual Signature Nutcracker, and we look forward to our 20th season this coming December. Also, the Alliance for the Arts and the Angels of the Alliance made it possible for 1,000 Title I school children from our county to be bused in for our 2 school outreach performances. Pacific Festival Ballet invites you to our spring production on May 18th, The Secret Garden, bringing this enchanting story to life. A reminder flyer has been distributed to each of you this evening. And again, thanks to the Alliance for the Arts and the Angels of the Alliance, we'll bring smiles to 500 of these Title I school children to come and see the Secret Garden School outreach performance. For the first time, PFB will present a summer season titled Kaleidoscope, an unplugged version of Pacific Festival Ballet featuring contemporary dance, guest artists, and invited choreographers. The date for our Kaleidoscope is Saturday, August 17th. Pacific Festival Ballet looks forward to celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Civic Arts Plaza and the 50th anniversary of the City of Thousand Oaks next fall. Regarding the new donor wall and the renovation of the Kavli lobby, more excitement is building at our studio as this will be an amazing opportunity to exhibit and showcase the names of our donors and our sponsors with the new design and with improved visibility. Since the new donor wall may replace the Friends gift shop and the way the world has evolved, we suggest to the Friends of the Civic Arts Plaza to create an online store linked to the TOCAP website, and Pacific Festival Ballet would be pleased to put an ad in all of our future programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorensen. And yes, the Nutcracker was indeed magnificent. Quite wonderful. Natalia Staniva, followed by Steve Gibney and Helene Ross.
Good evening, dear Mayor and council members and staff. My name is Natalia Staniva. I'm Executive Director of New West Symphony, a resident company of Civic Arts Plaza, in particular Kavli Theater. On behalf of the New West Symphony, I'd like to thank you for your continuous support of the symphony and our beautiful theater. I'm not going to be here when you were discussing item 10C, Kavli lobby renovation, so my comments are related to that item. I'd like to speak in support of the recognition wall as part of the theater improvements. I cannot emphasize enough how meaningful this recognition wall is for the symphony. We're looking forward to recognize our donors in a meaningful way. As you know, in September 2012, we kicked off our campaign for New Era with $1 million endowment in honor of our music director, Marcelo Leninger. And the goal of the campaign, it's a 3-year campaign, is to reach $6 million by our 20th anniversary in 2015. A prominent placement of a recognition wall will give our campaign higher profile and visibility. It will give a substantial recognition to the major donors, and ultimately it will ensure our financial sustainability. We rely on this campaign to advance our artistic vision and expand our audiences, as well as increase the number of legacy gifts or planned giving gifts. We're building audiences for other shows in the theater, and having the names of the donors on the wall will enhance the donors' experience in the theater, as well as give them an incentive to give more to other organizations. New West Symphony, we recently partnered with Cal Lutheran University to conduct an economic impact study, and the study showed that we bring over $2.8 million to the local community. Our music director, Marcelo Leninger, brought artistic vibrancy to our organization and is bringing recognition to the Civic Arts Plaza everywhere he conducts: Boston, Houston, Seattle, Berlin, or Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. We have many education programs that we ask our donors to support because, as you know, only 1/3 of our revenue comes from ticket sales, and 2/3 are generated by individual giving foundations, basically by contributions. So we need to give our donors a lasting and prominent recognition. We would like to strongly recommend that you approve a permanent donor recognition wall in a prominent location in the lobby of the theater. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Steve Gibney, followed by Helene Ross and Sarah Ickberg.
Good evening, Steve Gibney from Thousand Oaks. I'm here to tell all of you and everybody else who's watching that there's a lot of us that know what's going on, and we're not going to stay silent. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to force the issue out in the open so all of you know what's happening with this economy. By the way, a great job by the bankers in brainwashing all these young people into believing they're bad in the planet for not recycling and things like that. You know, there's nothing wrong with conservation, but to brainwash and to hear them specifically say we're going to brainwash the public. Eric Holder, you can watch the clip right now. We're going to brainwash the public. That's the kind of system we live under, and I'm going to explain to you a few things tonight about how your system really works. You know, in Earth Hour, it's wonderful. Sure, conservation's great. What about all the chemtrailing that's going on over us right now? You know, there's 20,000 university articles are written about dispersing particulate into the atmosphere as a nuclei to change the weather, to dry up the weather, to cause rain, to stop the rain, and everybody's gagged about it. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, which is exactly what Robert Gates, the former chief spokesman for the White House, said about the drone program. He said, when I was hired, I was told, don't talk about it. And the funny thing is, it's an admitted program, but they don't talk about it. You see, the country was taken over 100 years ago by the bankers, and the bankers, through paying off politicians, have been able to implement a program that is going to wipe you out. They are coming for everything. Cyprus over the weekend is an example of what they're going to do. They're coming for all your savings and your retirement. Be prepared. Get ready right now. I'd like to read you some quotes by some famous people. It's eugenics is the program. People, look up eugenics. They are all subscribed to this program. Here's a quote by Bill Gates, a prominent person today. He's pretty popular. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's heading up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines and health care and reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 to 15%. A great job with vaccines. Then you find out what's in vaccines. You can look it up on cdc.gov. What's in them? Mercury, aluminum, MSG. What else? They've got formaldehyde are in vaccines. You think that pink slime issue a while back was a mistake, an accident? No, Monsanto's GMO corn, and 80 to 90% of the corn and soy that's out there is genetically modified. Out of Huffington Post, Monsanto's GMO corn linked to organ failure, study reveals. Yeah, and the French did a study too, and it causes massive tumors. They are killing you, soft killing you. They're giving you toxic food. They're putting aspartame in your drinks. Be warned.
Helene Ross, followed by Sarah Ekberg and Jerry Louis.
My name is Helene Ross, and I have lived in Thousand Oaks since 1968. Thank you, Mayor Bill De La Pena and City Council members and staff. I am the founder of the Friends of the Civic Arts Plaza. 20 years ago, I worked with Tom Mitzi, the theater manager at the time, and we developed this volunteer organization who has served the theater well over these many years. I also am the founder of the gift shops. Originally, we had 3 gift shops, one in the Kavli with theater and one in the Forum and one outside, which was a kiosk. They operated successfully all these years. All of the money, all of it, has been donated back to the theater for children's programming. And I know that many, many, many children from the cities surrounding in Conejo Valley attended the theater and enjoyed performances as a result of the grants that we have given them. I was informed in December that there would be a redo of the Kavli Theater, which I agree is in need of refreshing, but it also involved eliminating the gift shops. And because the donor wall, which certainly we do need to have this donor wall, is to be placed at the same location that we now have for the gift shop. I have been meeting with Mr. McComb in an effort to find some kind of compromise so that we could continue the heritage, the history of the gift shop, which is enjoyed by so many members of our community, not only to purchase little items that remind them of the performance and the program that they attended, but because it's also an attractive part of our theater. So I am hopeful that we can find some kind, with your cooperation and help, that we can find some kind of compromise so that we continue to have the gift shops, which obviously are dear to my heart, and in the future, so that we can very, very quickly have some resolution to this problem. So thank you for your help.
Thank you. And we have Sarah Ekberg, followed by Jerry Louie and Cindy Murray.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and City staff. My name is Sarah Ekberg. I'm the Director of Government and Economic Affairs for the Greater Conejo Valley Chamber, and I'm here to provide you with some information on upcoming Chamber programs and events. First off, the Chamber is holding its annual Conejo Valley Restaurant Week on Sunday, April 21st through Thursday, April 25th. Participants can enjoy lunch and dinner deals at local restaurants, and visit ConejoValleyRestaurantWeek.com for more details. I'm also here to announce registration for next year's Leadership Conejo class opens this April, and you can check our website out at ConejoChamber.org for more details. And lastly, we're currently accepting Spirit of Community Award nominations for volunteers and nonprofit organizations that have displayed an outstanding commitment to the community through service. Nominations are due by Friday, April 19th, and you can visit the special events section of the Chamber website at ConejoChamber.org to submit your nominations. That concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Louie, followed by Cindy Murray and Nick Kidway.
Mayor, I had asked to speak on agenda item 10C, which I would prefer to do.
Yes, actually, it does say 10C. It was in the wrong stack. My apologies.
I'll see you later.
I'll see you later, too. Thank you. Then it would be Cindy Murray, followed by Nick Kidway.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff. My name is Cindy Murray, and I'm the Director of Internal Operations at the Resident Musical Theater here, Cabrillo, and I am very happy to be here tonight. I am here on behalf of Cabrillo and our Board of Directors to express our support and excitement of the possibility of having a donor wall in the Kavli Theater lobby. We all know, everybody here and everybody in the arts program, that it's quite a challenge obtaining donors for the companies for the past few years. Anything that is presented, we feel, that is innovative and forward-thinking can only help grow our donor base. We feel that a wall of recognition would be a prestigious thing that the community would like, and we feel would motivate the citizens to want to be a part of this special group. This type of recognition then would not be an afterthought, because typically what we do is thank our donors in our program, which is only 4 times a year. And so we think that this would be visibility year-long. And it would be a thank you and a motivator that would create maybe a culture of donor support to Thousand Oaks. It would also create a thank you that would encourage ongoing donor support. Many times during our performances, I'm always in the lobby greeting people and talking to people at intermission, and a lot of times they look up on the ceiling and read the names. And a lot of times people stop and point out to me, that's my name. And so I think that people like to see their name, and I think a nice location in the lobby is very important to all of us, all the resident companies. We do learn always to say thank you from when we're very young, and so this would be a way to really thank people and create this proposed donor wall would be a great way to say thank you. So we do support this donor wall. In fact, we think that we need this. And as I said earlier, it's a very forward-thinking move for us and for the community, and maybe long overdue. So we also thank you, as your resident theater, for your support, and hope that you'll all come to our next show, which is Grease. Grease is the word. Thank you, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Our last speaker is Nick Kidway.
I begin in the name of God, who is most beneficial, most merciful. My name is Nick Iqbal Kidway, and last time I checked, still Director concerned City of Thousand Oaks. Honorable Mayor, City Council, nice sidebars going on there. That's not bad manners. It's just council norm. If TOTV can show the graphic, I've been wondering, last time when this happened with City Hall, it says City Hall closed Fridays before most holidays, becomes a 4-day weekend, and contractors and residents have a delay in getting permits, and it affects the QFL, which I learned from Zena, is quality of life for the residents and profit for the contractor. Because if you're working on a roof and you need a permit on a pool, if you don't get the permit okayed by the city, that the process on Thursday, then you have to wait till Tuesday, because Monday is also Martin Luther King and they don't work while we work. You should contact Joel Price at toaks.org. I think that's the best address right now to contact people in the city. It gets to the council and the city. And the phone number here is 449-2121. And I have an old email, which is easy. I would like to be in the loop if possible, because if we can have 6 or 7 people come, like the gift shop people are over here, you can make a change. It's nickeq@yahoo.com. Losing time on this, but better than nothing. I do appreciate a lot of places don't have anything available. In fact, right now, Google Hangout in India, a planning commission for the country did a hangout with 800 residents. It's on YouTube, and it's phenomenal to get people to participate and use the technology. I don't know why we are lagging in this country. If you can, TOTV can show this Sprout sign that's about 30 feet tall in Pasadena. You can design to catch the attention from the 210 freeway. And believe it or not, I mean, 30 years ago we fought the battle here. I wasn't involved. I was enjoying life, I guess, and got rid of the pole signs. Last night, Silver Star proposed one and still got 2 votes for that violation of the city things. Hooters has come in this city, and they have their sign on the windows, which violates the city norms. They are going through the loop again, and I implore you that the city manager emeritus Brimhall, as well as Larry Horner and others have said, you set the policy, you should have that item come directly to you rather than going through the 2-step follies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kidwai. I believe that the city manager, Mr. Mitnick, has some follow-up comments to the comments made by some of the speakers.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, more for informational purposes, we heard some comments promoting certain fundraising efforts and other dates, so we'll be sure to follow up and put those on the city website, or at least provide a link with respect to the Westlake High School football program and the Arts Festival that's coming up, as well as some of the other items. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, and we now move to item number 7, which is the consent calendar. Are there any items that we would like to pull? Mr. Price? Oh, Mr. Adam.
Yes, thank you. Would you mind pulling F and K?
Oh, okay. All right, F and K. And I think, Mr. Price, I wanted to give you a little bit of a break there. And K.
I thought I had flagged it here. Dealing with new technology. No, the Lynn Road bike
That is
lane.
F, and that's already pulled.
F, thank you.
Okay. All right. Who would like to move the remainder of the consent calendar? Mrs. Irwin?
I'll move the remainder of the consent calendar.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And Mr. Adam, item F.
If I may start with K, would that be all right?
Okay, K.
I voted against the additional grading for that project, so I believe I would have to be consistent, have to vote against this item as well. And I did have one quick question on the oak tree permit that's being issued now.
That was Mr. Prescott.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Prescott. Just it says that there's going to be the additional grading into the protected zone of these oak trees, and they expect it to be not likely to result in the decline of the trees. Is this simply because of the extra dirt that was approved at the last meeting?
Yes, that's correct. The scope of the grading operation increased, and that brought the oak trees into play, if you will. But the impacts are minor and probably won't even result in any trimming necessary. It's just encroachments within the protected zone.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Should I go to F?
No, not yet, because I also, for housekeeping reasons, need to vote against K, since I also voted to reject the dumping of soil on that property. So if somebody would like to make the motion, Mrs. Irwin. Okay.
I'll move 7K.
Please vote.
Motion carries 3-2. Council members Adam and Bill de la Pena dissenting. And we do have a speaker card on the consent calendar, Mayor.
Yeah, we do. That was B through F. All right, then Mr. Nick Kidwai, before we call item F, would you like to speak on that? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Well, people say, why you look like a grouch when you are in the city council. I mean, how can you be optimistic and positive when, it's obvious that this body doesn't care about citizens speaking and cannot get their act together. It's common knowledge that procedure that items on the consent calendar are actually removed by citizen contesting them by putting a card in. But over here, routinely, it's the Indy 500. You are in a hurry to move forward. I want to speak about E, which is the liquor license. I was speaking about Hooters, and in that staff report, within a 2.5-mile radius, there are 27 places that serve liquor. If TV can show the overhead, this is from the Ventura County Star. They had a DUI enforcement this weekend, and 4 people were caught. And I love the city. The reason the city is doing it because there's a free grant, so it's free money, so that's why we never give up free money. But I'm for it in this case. And on the one hand, we are encouraging people to just get smashed, and on the other hand, giving them tickets. I think there's a lot of people in this community believe that the time has come for a moratorium on new establishments and liquor licenses, and not do it piecemeal. And I would request that the council take action on that. I want to speak about the bike lane, and I want to draw the attention that there's a letter by Mr. Raymond Donahue in the Star. It's on the web also. An American man commented, very brief, because it's going to cost $2.5 million. According to my and I quote, unquote, according to my calculation, there are 16,000 bike trips on that stretch of road. Each trip is going to cost $125. Even at $32,000 bike trips, there will be $62.50 per trip. Hey, Mr. American man, this is a non-profit. It's they don't care about how the money is spent, so long as it's free money and there's not too many objections. It's a dangerous stretch of the road. I can attest to it. I've run out of gas a long time ago twice, and I thank God that my van was not destroyed, and also that I'm alive and well. People are driving fast, they cannot see, and I just cannot believe that you folks with a straight face can spend so much money on something that is not needed when there is demand and need for so many other things in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. We now go to item 7F. Mr. Adam.
Yes, thank Pardon me. I know this was approved in a previous meeting. However, I just had a quick question. In regards to the safety concerns that have been brought up along Lynn Road and bikes, the two of them mixing, were rumble strips ever considered in this plan?
Councilman Adam. Actually, the standard is striping, and actually rumble strips along a bike path actually create a further unsafe condition because of the fact that if a bicycle tire were to hit a rumble strip, it could send the bikes into the travel way. So actually that is not a Caltrans standard to put those along a stripe like that.
All right. Yeah, I know it's a two-edged sword. The bicyclists don't necessarily like it because, as you say, if the tire hits the rumble strip, it disorders their trip. However, they are, I must say, very effective. Santa Rosa Road uses them for drifting cars, and when you hit those strips, boy, you know it, and you correct back in. But all right, if we've looked at that, then we've looked at it. The other thing, I was a little disappointed to see having to eliminate the landscaping budget. What exactly is going to be the effect of that? I mean, landscaping-wise, the slopes all along Lynn Road and.
Actually, the landscaping component was the medians. And the median at the north end of the project is actually about 40-plus feet wide. We're taking 6 feet off of each side, which if you drive along there is actually a kind of, it's not a gravel, it's a bark area, so it's not actually planted. So we're not going to have a lot of impact on the landscaping at this point in time. We decided, because of budget constraints, to defer that landscaping to a future date. We have the plans. We can do that maybe more as a regional landscape project in the future.
I see. So it's for the medians. So
it's just the medians only.
All right. Oh, that's good then. All right. Thank you.
Mrs. Irwin.
Thank you. We had an email today from Mr. David Mueller, and he was concerned about. Did you read the email in the green packet?
I did not, but I may be aware of the email.
There was a concern that the design is taking away the third northbound lane between Hillcrest and Gainsborough, and he thinks that it's going to cause a lot of additional backup during rush hour. So could you comment on that, please?
Yes. The standard lane capacity is 10 to 12,000 ADT, or average daily trips per day per lane. Currently, Lynn Road has an ADT of 30,000 trips, annual ADT trips per day, and that results in 15,000 in each direction. So currently with 3 lanes, we have a capacity of close to 30,000 in one direction. So by reducing this to 2 lanes, we'll have around a capacity of around 20,000 trips per day. And again, the per directional trips is about 15 as of 2012 counts.
Thank you for that.
And I too have a question. Should it ever happen that Thousand Oaks continues to grow and we find ourselves in a traffic situation, which is also what David Mueller referred to, is there a possibility that the median may be taken out? He's wondering about that in order to ease traffic congestion.
Well, one thing on this project is actually in that stretch of the roadway from Hillcrest to Gainsborough, we're really only changing the striping. We're actually not even shrinking the paved section. So in the future, if traffic were to increase at this point, we could even add that third lane back in with just another striping change.
So what I'm hearing is that we would not take out any of the medians in there right now.
That's not part of the considerations.
Very good. Okay, I think that is what he was concerned about. All right, thank you. Is Mr. Price? All right.
Thank you. I had questions about the traffic mitigation plan for during the development of this bike lane project. Maybe you can address that.
Yes. The traffic control plan, the contract actually includes 4 segments of work. Hillcrest to Manzana northbound, and Manzana to Avenida Dos Arbolos northbound, and then also 2 in the southbound direction. What the requirements are is the contractor can only close one lane of those segments at a time. The idea being that we want to make sure the contractor, if he closes a lane, that he's working in that area. So at all times, there'll be at least one lane open in each of those segments, which will essentially result in the traffic restriction all throughout construction. The time limit for each of those will vary because depending on the work that actually has to be done. And once the contractor is on board and gives us a construction schedule, we will report back on what that is.
And for folks who might be traveling to the hospital there, since it's involved, or at least from one side, are we or have we reached out to the fire department and AMR and let them know, or will we let them know what our plans are and the dates of those so that they can safely navigate around those?
Yes, as part of our outreach program, we're actually going to model this similarly to the Windy 101 project. Lots of information on our website, lots of press releases, changeable message signs. We're going to notify everybody we can and keep people informed.
Mrs. Irwin?
Thank you.
I did, just to reiterate to our residents, there is no general fund money being used on this, and the federal and state grants are to only be used for these type of bike projects, correct?
That is correct. In fact, there's over $1.12 million of federal grant money going towards this project.
That can only be used for these type of transportation projects, and if we don't do it in this community, that will be used for bike transportation projects in other communities.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve item F? Mr. Price?
I'd be happy to move approval of F.
Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Very well. Now we move to item 8A, which will be presented by Barry McComb, our Cultural Affairs Director, as well as Stephanie Wilson, Cultural Affairs Commissioner. And I would like to draw your attention to the green packet, which has several letters in reference to that. No, I'm sorry, that is the upcoming item 10C. Never mind.
Okay.
Mr. McComb.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Before introducing this agenda item, I would just like to state that I will address the comments made during the public comment section regarding the Kavli renovation project when that agenda item comes up later this evening. One of the recommendations from the Arts Review Plan that was approved by City Council called for the creation of a policy governing the designation of official city events. The Cultural Affairs Commission was tasked with creating this policy, and I'm pleased to introduce Commissioner Stephanie Wilson, who chairs the Commission's Residency Committee, and she will present the Commission's report and recommendations to you this evening. Following Stephanie's report, both she and I will then be available to answer questions for you.
Good evening, Mrs. Wilson.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Bill de la Peña, members of the City Council, and very hardworking staff. I'm Stephanie Wilson. I'm a resident of Westlake Village for 20 years, and I'm pleased to chair the resident committee for the Cultural Affairs Commission. You will remember our arts report many years ago, it seems, also called the Cultural Arts Review Plan, and the ad hoc committee took the 77 recommendations therein and gave a number of them, and I don't know what number that is, to the Cultural Affairs Committee. We then took all of those, and we call them our marching orders, and we assigned them to different committees. I chair the resident committee, and two of my first things that I was tasked with were creating resident policies for resident companies, and the second was policies for the cultural official city cultural event. You'll notice we added the word cultural, and I'll answer questions about that if I need to. I don't think I will. We spent months going over a policy, and that's what's before you. The policy is to look at events that will provide cultural enrichment to our city, celebrate our unique history, enhance our pride and sense of community, create a positive image for Thousand Oaks. And one of the most important things for me is endorse economic vitality. We tend to forget what CLU's cultural impact or economic impact report said, that the arts do bring money here. So, and these events would include, because of the word cultural, anything in the arts, but including visual arts, literature, music, dance, film, and theater. We will be asking for applications from organizations who wish to present an official city cultural event. These applications would be reviewed by the resident committee. We'll look at their cultural impact on the city, their ability to create and carry this through. Do they have the capacity? Do they have the history? Have they been here a while? Do we trust that they're going to be here for a while? Are they based in Thousand Oaks? They don't have to be, but we will probably give preference to organizations that are based here rather than ones that want to come in from somewhere else and present an event here, although we will also look at that and provide positive economic impact on our community. So there are two different categories in this. One is a city cultural event, and that would be an event that the city puts forward, that the city's already doing and puts forward. And the second is a city-sponsored cultural event, which our committee would look at and decide if they should receive sponsorship funding. That funding could be in-kind services as far as staff goes. It could be porta potties, trash cans. It could be waiving permit fees. It could be financial support and dollars if we have them. It could be helping them with their promotion of the event on the city website, press releases, newsletters, or any other appropriate channels of communication. So we are asking you tonight to approve two recommendations that have already been approved by the entire Cultural Affairs Commission. We'd like you to approve the guidelines and criteria for designation of an official city cultural event and authorize the Cultural Affairs Department to establish a line item as part of the biennial budget process to establish funding for city cultural events. There's a reason we're asking for you to establish that line item. First of all, we need some guidance on the level of funding that should be in that line item. We understand it's dependent upon whether there are funds at all, and we know the arts are, one of the, we're not the stepchildren, but we're one of the last in line. But we want you to understand that, for instance, the Thousand Oaks Arts Festival has received $20,000 in city support and as high as $27,000 in city support. So just to give you an idea of what an event like that can cost, not only in dollars, but in staff time and in-kind services, that's the dollar amount we're looking at for something like the Arts Festival. So, we'll take questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Mr. Adam?
Thank you for coming, Ms. Wilson. It's good to see you again,
Nice
by the
to
way.
see you, too.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'd just like to ask Mr. McComb a question on the funding sources. I know that the Arts Festival in the past, for example, has it looks like it's been funded by the Cultural Arts Department, partially by the Theater Enterprise Fund as well. Is the proposal here now to eliminate those sources of funding and shift it to the general fund, or will those sources still be available, or how's that going to work?
Actually, it's my understanding that in the past, those costs have really been spread across a number of departments, including Public Works. Certainly, it does not make sense for that funding to come out of the Enterprise Fund, which is supposed to be operating the theaters. So it's our recommendation that we establish a single line item that would probably live in our arts services budget, which is general fund driven. So primarily that it's easier to track what the true cost of these events are to the city. If another department were to provide services, staff time, then they would be reimbursed out of that line item.
Thanks, Mr. McComb.
Any other questions? My question would be, you mentioned the giving priorities to local organizations versus outside organizations. Have you thought about some sort of point system like we do for other contracts to give the local organizer?
Well, it would start with the resident committee. So the resident committee would first look at it, and then it would go to the full Cultural Affairs Commission, and then it would come to you. I'm not sure that that answers your question, but we've looked already at a few people who have come to us and said they'd like to do things here. If they don't have a sense of who Thousand Oaks is and what we do, we're looking at it from a cultural point of view, and we would like them to understand who we are. Does that answer your question?
Not really, but I'm looking if you're going to have some sort of ratings sheet to rate each applicant.
Okay, if I can weigh in on the answer to that.
We do.
This will actually be addressed in the same manner that we approach the theater credit grants that are given out. There will be an established criteria. We'll have a weighted system on the various pieces of that, and as an application comes in, it will be rated against that. Because these applications can come in at any time during the year, it's not that they're being compared against each other because they won't necessarily be under consideration at the same time. But the rating system will allow first the committee, then the commission, to rate the value that particular event will bring to the community based on the standards, and whether it is justified then sending forth to the council for your final consideration.
Okay.
Sorry, I
very
didn't
good. No,
understand
that's
the question.
okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't think there are any additional questions. Great.
Thank you.
All right. I'm looking for a motion to. Oh, we do have a card. Thank you. All right, Mr. Nick Hidwai.
Nick Kidwai, resident of Newberry Park, Director Concerned Citizens of Thousand Oaks. I don't want to be a grouch or stingy guy or whatever and say that I'm against this. I would be crazy to say that. However, I'm reminded of Vince Lombardi, and he said, this is a football. You have to start from level one, i.e. this is, in most cases, a new program that you're doing. We're giving 27 to the arts, $27,000. And right now, you have cut so many programs through the bones, and you had a goal setting session, but I don't think it was a budget setting session. And I, for one, and I thank staff for putting my comments in the green packet, and two things that I think this community needs and appreciates. One is $10,000 for a crime night out. And it was such a successful program. I was lucky enough to get it started in Oxnard after we had it over here because I knew the firefighters there. And it's going gangbusters there. Our competitors in Simi Valley have a great program. I know about it from the reading in the Star. And a high official in the school, in the police department, told me that it was just 1 year. He said, Nick, it's only 1 year. It's going to come back. Never comes back. I mean, what are you guys doing? Why aren't you more active? Why do you let the city manager run the city without input from the city council? And the second thing is, we had Mayor Irwin who did it, is to thank the volunteers at dinner. I mean, we have some volunteers from the theaters over here. We had it in a tent. Right now, CRPD had a wonderful event. And we're talking about peanuts. I mean, if you can't do those, how can you do new things? And that's what my complaint is. And if you restore the other things, you can do these nice things to have. But in fact, since it was mentioned earlier on that there was free money to do a road, this ain't free money because this is general fund money. But the city fathers and the city manager made a promise to this community that no local taxpayer dollars will be spent to support the theaters. It was a completely disgusting, wrong. It's not an illegal move to spend the money. But I've never heard anyone from this dais say that we want to change the policy, have a resolution that general funds and the taxpayer funds will be spent so that we bring closure to this issue. I've been talking about this for 20 years, and I was not a leader in that, but it needs to be addressed. And maybe you can bring 10A earlier. It's kind of related to this, and other people want to talk about it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McComb, do you have any comments regarding the speaker's comments? Any feedback?
Well, in particular to the one event that he was referring to, I believe that would qualify for potential funding under the CEF grant program, and that they could apply for funding to help underwrite that event from that existing source.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have a motion? Mr. Adam.
Thank you. I don't think this proposal is really about giving the arts more or less money. I think it's more about the process by which the money's doled out, and I think it makes sense. I mean, we'll formalize the process, formalize the budget. We can track the events and their success, and so I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'll move 8A.
Any other comments regarding the motion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Just a quick comment, Madam Mayor. I want to thank the committee for their work. This whole process is working pretty close to how I think everybody envisioned it, and we're letting the folks that really know best make recommendations to the council. It's working out great, so pass on our thanks to the committee.
Thank you. We have a public hearing now, which will be opened by the city clerk.
Hearing advertised as required by law is open to consider agenda item 9A, city-initiated density general plan amendment from high-density residential to medium-density residential, zone change from residential plan development RPD-20U to residential plan development RPD-7U, LU 2011-70410 and zone change 2011-70412, located west side Ventura Park Road at Ramona Drive, the Oak Terrace area. The applicant is the City of Thousand Oaks. A speaker card is available for those wishing to address the council regarding this public hearing, and we have no speaker cards.
Thank you. We will have a presentation by our senior planner, Mr. Jeffrey Spector. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. This item involves 14.5 approximately acres located on the west side of Ventura Park Road at Ramona Drive. And we're proposing to amend the land use element of the general plan from high density residential and change it to medium density residential. And at the same time, we're proposing a change to the zoning from residential plan development up to 20 units per acre, that's housing units, to residential plan development up to 7 dwellings per net acre. This is an aerial photograph of the property in question. The existing general plan and zoning for this site dates back to the 1980s. The intent was to establish an apartment project on the site, but it was never built. And housing projects under construction on this site at this time, and the actual density of that housing project, which is about half built, will be a little under 7 dwelling units per net acre. And that density is less than what the current general plan designation, land use element designation, and the zoning would allow. This is a slide that illustrates that, and you can see the actual density of 6.62 dwellings per acre is within the range of the medium density residential general plan designation. Here's a map of the land use element showing the property in its context as far as the general plan land use element. Now, when we consider changes to the general plan, we had to take into account Measure E. And in this case, we were looking at an actual reduction in residential density. Now, Measure E was passed by the voters in 1996, and it requires that the voters approve increases in cumulative residential density above the, or residential capacity above the capacity that was in place when Measure E was passed by the voters in 1996. Now, this amendment will not increase residential capacity of the general plan. It will reduce the capacity by 218 dwellings. Now, this is a slide that shows an accounting of the cumulative changes to residential capacity of the general plan that have occurred up till now. That's 187 dwellings. With this amendment, we will reduce that capacity by 218 dwellings, which leaves us, after tonight, should this be approved, 405 dwellings below that baseline from 1996. Now, these changes involve a zone change as well to align the zoning with the actual density being built on this property. This is a little bit complicated, this matter. We had to consider a rather obscure item in state law that limits reductions in density. The government code, the California government code, prohibits reductions in density unless the reduction is consistent with the general plan and the remaining land inventory is adequate to meet the city's share of the regional housing need. In this density reduction we're talking about this evening meets both of these criteria. As far as CEQA, environmental review, it is not subject to CEQA because there's no possibility that it will cause a significant effect on the environment. So both staff and the Planning Commission recommend that the council approve this land use element amendment and the zone change as suggested. And with that, I'll conclude and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Spector.
You're welcome.
Any questions? We have no questions. We have no public speakers. And who would like to move this item? Mr. Adam again? Okay.
Thank you. Well, as the staff report says, this is really nothing more than a housekeeping item. The project's under construction. We're merely matching the general plan amendment and the zone change to what's already being built there. So I certainly have no problem with that. The upshot of it is that we will add 218 dwellings to our Measure E bank, which I suppose could come in handy for future development. So with that, I will move 9A.
Please vote.
The motion carries 5-0, and the ordinance title is an ordinance amending the municipal code relating to zoning maps and changes in zoning classification of property located west side Ventura Road at Ramona Drive, Z 2011-70412.
Thank you. Item 10A deals with our 10-year plan to end homelessness in Ventura County, and that will be presented by Mr. John Prescott, as well as Many Mansions President Rick Schrader. Good evening, Mr. Prescott.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. This evening, we're presenting to you for your approval an update to the 10-year plan to end homelessness in Ventura County. And that plan was adopted about 5 years ago by the county and all the cities, and it's a necessary element for projects and programs within the county to receive federal funding aimed at ameliorating the homelessness problem that exists in our area and nationwide. Due to some changes in the federal approach, which is tied to the funding, of course, there was a need to recalibrate the 10-year plan, and we're about halfway through it. And there has been quite a bit of progress, as you'll see from the written material and as you'll also hear in the presentation. So it's staff recommendation that you do approve the update to the 10-year plan to end homelessness. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Rick Schrader, whom you know is the president of Many Mansions, but also he's very actively involved in the countywide coalition that's been dealing with this issue, and he does have a slideshow to present.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prescott. Members of the City Council, Madam Mayor, I'm Rick Schrader. I'm president of Many Mansions. Many Mansions is also part of the Ventura County Homeless and Housing Coalition, which is a collection of other nonprofits and service providers that actually help spearhead this whole 10-year strategy to end homelessness. As Mr. Prescott mentioned, in 2007, we came together to form this written plan with 22 recommendations to be implemented throughout Ventura County in an effort to end homelessness. As our slide shows, if you can go back just a bit, this is a plan, not a dream. Our goal really is to end homelessness, and we believe that we can do that in Ventura County if we all work together in a coordinated fashion. We knew that when we started in 2007 that this was a long-term effort with a long-term commitment. But we believe that homelessness is everyone's responsibility. And that's the underpinning of our strategy. It is a community issue requiring community action, and we all have a role to play. Well, the purpose of our evaluation after 5 years, as you can see, was first to see what was working and what was not working. Second, it was to assess current issues and needs. Much has changed in this economy and this community since 2007. And thirdly, it was to look at new strategies that were being introduced throughout the country, mainly in response to some of the changes in the government level and in the economy itself. How are we doing? Well, we have made some progress, actually. County-wide in 2012, we did count 1,936 persons as homeless. That's who we counted, which was a decrease from 2007. In Thousand Oaks, we counted 90 persons, which also was a slight decrease in 2007. But what we found over these years is that although the numbers have not significantly been reduced, the nature of homelessness has changed. What we're finding is a decrease in homeless families and children, which is a good thing, but unfortunately, an increase in what we call chronically homeless, those persons who've been homeless for more than a year. And indeed, 50% of the homeless population in Ventura County is now chronically homeless. But some of the achievements that we've made in the past 5 years, we have increased housing development throughout Ventura County. We've introduced new voucher programs to help assist people with their housing costs. We've also increased homeless prevention funds throughout the county. This is a picture of actually 2 of Many Mansions developments outside of Thousand Oaks. On the left is our La Rajada development, which we introduced in 2010, which houses homeless individuals who have a disability. And on the right is our D Street development that we have in Oxnard, which we opened last year. This development actually houses transition-aged youth between ages of 18 and 24 who are homeless and have a disability. And that is a rising population as well. But in Thousand Oaks, also quite a few achievements. Again, in this very difficult economic climate, we created the Affordable Housing Work Group that has been meeting since 2007. We established a homeless assistance fund. We have in development, of course, our new Hillcrest Villas apartments, which will be officially opening on May 1st, and our grand opening is April 25th. Again, in Hillcrest Villas, of the 60 units, 30 units will be specifically for individuals and families who are homeless. We've been able to maintain our Stoll House housing, which is transitional housing, the only transitional housing for homeless families in East Ventura County. And we've made some preliminary work on the development of a year-round emergency shelter, as well as conducting our annual homeless count. Moving forward, though, over the next 5 years is going to be very difficult. One of the cornerstone strategies in reducing homelessness is the creation of more permanent supportive housing, housing that we've been able to create in Thousand Oaks, our Esseff Village, Richmond Terrace facilities. But with the elimination of the redevelopment agencies, that's going to be very difficult. Over 25% of our funding for affordable housing, and especially for our affordable supportive housing, came from redevelopment agencies. And that is a huge gap that needs to be filled. Nevertheless, we're trying to fill that through other types of programs, other types of resources, collecting more data on our homeless population to understand them more, cultivating public and private partnerships, trying to create more homeless assistance to prevent people from actually becoming homeless. Other newer strategies that we've been able to develop and incorporate in this updated plan is to adopt, where possible, a housing first model. That's something that is being introduced throughout the country, where instead of having an elaborate system of emergency shelters and transitional housing, we try to take people directly off the streets into permanent supportive housing. Now, we've already done that in Ventura County, and we've already certainly done that in Thousand Oaks, in many mansions facilities. But to try to emphasize that more emergency assistance, more assistance to those that are likely to become homeless, and increased use of specialized vouchers. The federal government has a number of specialized rental Section 8 vouchers for veterans, for persons that are homeless, for people fleeing domestic violence. So again, we conclude by just simply saying that homelessness is everyone's responsibility, but if we do work together, we pool our resources and we pool our hearts, I think we can make a difference. So I'd like to thank the City Council, this city, for its support, and it's something that I think the city should be very proud, and I'm available for any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. Thank you for this very detailed presentation. Mr. Adam.
Hi, Mr. Schrader. Hey, I want to thank you for your dedication to some of the disadvantaged people in our community. You've been coming here a long time, and I really appreciate that. I really do. I like the idea of the housing first model. I think that makes a lot of sense. Permanent housing versus the transitional.
Right.
But as you mentioned, redevelopment dollars are gone, and funding is a big issue. It looks to me from some of the reading I did here that one of the big sources ultimately can be the County Housing Trust Fund, which our city has made a contribution to, as well as many other cities. I think there's over $1 million in there right now. And secondly, the in lieu fees, which for the audience, it simply means that if a developer chooses not to include affordable housing in a tract that they're building, they would pay a fee in lieu of including that housing. And as it says in the report, 9 out of 10 cities do have the in lieu housing program. Thousand Oaks right now has waived those fees for I believe the last 4 years due to the economic situation that you yourself mentioned. My question to you is: Are other cities waiving those fees, and what would be your opinion of going forward, how those fees should be handled?
Yes, other cities have been waiving their fees. I think our opinion has always been that the creation of any housing is of great assistance in the affordable housing area. That is, the more housing stock, whether it's high-end, middle-end, low-end, is very important. So I think we have agreed and supported the city's position in waiving the fees to encourage new development of new housing, because we simply need more housing. As the economy improves, though, and as there are more and more developments, I think it is wise if the city were to reinstate the inclusionary housing policy, including the in lieu fees. Because I do see that that is an important source of financing for affordable housing, and it allows groups like Many Mansions and the Area Housing Authority to take those in lieu fees and leverage them with other federal and state sources.
That's right.
So, but for now, until the economy improves, it's probably wise not to have them.
I appreciate your opinion on that. We are to consider that later in the year about reinstatement of those fees, and I wanted to see what your opinion was. Thank you very much.
All right, do we have any other questions? None? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, then I'm looking for a motion to approve staff recommendation to update the 10-year plan to end homelessness. Mr. Price.
Be happy to move staff's recommendation on item 10A.
Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, item 10B. Mr. Jay Spurgeon, our Public Works Director, will present the item which deals with the 10123 interchange that will hopefully be improved. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. This agenda item requests your approval of reimbursement agreements with Caltrans and the Ventura County Transportation Commission, and this is the final step for the city to move this major project forward. Very exciting. The project, you recall, will add one additional lane of travel in each direction on the 101 freeway, as well as an additional lane to the southbound transition ramps from the 23 freeway. About 4.5 miles on the 101 between Moore Park Road and the Westlake Boulevard. There will be 3 bridges that need to be widened, and while we're at it, we'll be upgrading the seismic structural integrity of those bridges. And we'll also be constructing about 3/4 of a mile of sound walls along the 101 freeway near Hampshire Road. This interchange has over 250,000 of vehicles per day that travels through it. It is clearly the busiest and most congested freeway interchange in Ventura County. We've been working on this project for some time, and you recall that the last couple years we've been focusing on getting federal grant money through the Tiger Grant Program. In fact, we applied for a grant in 2011 and in 2012, 2 different rounds of Tiger funding. And at that time, City Council approved $20 million loan from the General Fund capital reserves to complete the funding package for the project. Unfortunately, we were not successful in getting those 2 grants, but last year, thankfully, there was money finally that became available for the project, and that is through state bond money through Proposition 1B, specifically the Trade Corridors Improvement Fund, or TCIF, and this money became available through construction cost savings on the 101 Rice Avenue interchange project up in Oxnard. So about a little over $13 million from that project. That requires a 1-to-1 grant or matching fund from non-state funds, and that would be from federal transportation monies. And last October, City Council approved a $17.7 million loan toward the project to complete the package, the funding package for the project, and we're able to move forward. So tonight, we are asking you to approve reimbursement agreements. These are one agreement between the city and the Transportation Commission and Caltrans. That agreement puts in place the obligation for the state to pay the city back the $17 million in fiscal year 15-16. This agreement, and through the state law, AB 3090, puts the city in the front of the line to receive its funding before the state can spend its money on other projects. There's also another agreement in your package with the Transportation Commission for use of additional funding toward contingencies that may arrive in the project. So here's how it breaks down. You can see there's about little over $13 million of the TCIF funding, and then between the federal surface transportation grant and other federal grants, the matching $13 million, the city's loan totaling about $42 million estimated construction costs. Repayment, or I'm sorry, the city funds would be drawn down on a monthly basis during the 2-year project. So we were able to get Caltrans to allow that kind of a draw, basically a pay-as-you-go. So we do not have to provide the full $17 million as a lump sum up front at the beginning of the project. There is a budget impact, however, for us doing this. As you recall, we would be foregoing some investment earnings. It's about $175,000 per year if the full $17 million was put up, but because of the pay-as-you-go, the reserves would be drawn down slower, and probably the total impact would be something on the order of maybe $250,000 in lost interest. So that's kind of our ante up and getting the project moving forward years ahead of what the state could do. It's been a long road, but we will see the project construction underway before the end of the year. That's pretty exciting. We've been working long and hard on this. The next step is for the California Transportation Commission to approve these agreements on at their May meeting, May 7th. The Transportation Commission, VCTC, has already approved them at their last meeting on March 1st. So be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Spurgeon. Any questions? Mr. Adam.
Quick one, just so I understand the terms. We're going to ante up $15.7 million out of our general fund, and it could go as high as $17.7 million, but it'd be capped at that amount, correct?
17.7 would be the maximum amount that would come out of the general fund reserves, yes.
And we'll, whether it's 15 or 17, we'll get it back.
Correct.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, I'm thrilled this is happening. Anybody who's coming from Westlake and is going to drop their kids off at the mall around 5 o'clock on a Friday should be very happy that we're going to try to fix this bottleneck.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Price.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I had one question. In looking at the location map, the Hampshire undercrossing, it says in this map that it's going to be widened. I thought that was not part of this project.
Yes,
it's attachment 1.
Yeah, I see the notation there that you're referring to. The undercrossing itself will not be widened. That actually should indicate that the bridge is widened in that direction to provide for the additional lane on the main line. Okay. So thank you for that clarification.
That was my understanding.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? None? Then I'm looking for a motion to approve staff recommendation. Mr. Price?
It's with great pleasure that I would move staff's recommendation. This has been a long time coming. I've watched many a council meeting from my living room where this has been the subject of discussion. I've gotten involved in this process. I'm excited about it for every resident here in Thousand Oaks, and I very enthusiastically move staff recommendation here.
Comments to the motion? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Mr. Mitnick.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this is a somewhat historic event that we're at this stage, and this project's actually going to be undergoing construction starting at the end of this calendar year. I think it's only fitting that we do acknowledge former council members and mayors Dennis Gillette and Tom Glancy for their work in lobbying to make this project come to fruition, especially Mr. Gillette, who fought real hard over a long period of time. And also, a number of city staff have worked on it for years, if not decades. But Mina Leyba, our legislative affairs manager, who doesn't get much credit for these things, she was relentless in the pursuit of funding, and I'd just like to acknowledge her, in addition to the other staff. It's always risky when you point out people who've worked hard as you overlook others, but I think those three names, the two former elected folks and Mina, need to be acknowledged. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you very much. Item 10C, Ms. Liz Perez, Facilities Manager, to talk about the Kavli Theater lobby renovation. And then we'll also have a presentation by Barry McComb.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Kavli Theater renovation project and the recommendation to approve authorization to solicit bids. I'm Elizabeth Perez, the Facilities Manager, and Barry McComb, our Cultural Affairs Director, will also be presenting this evening. So start off a little history where the project came from. There was some deferred maintenance items that we needed to get done in the lobby, and the capital improvement project budget in fiscal year 09-010 started a project for these to address these maintenance issues. And over the last several years, we've worked with the Council Capital Facilities Committee to actually identify what needed to be done and sort of prioritize what we should look at. So items we're addressing in this project are basic carpet and paint. We've got a lot of stained, old faded carpeting. We've got paint that needs to be refreshed, and looking at a new color scheme. And the image on the right, we have this wood veneer wall that has been a constant maintenance problem, not easy to maintain and keep looking good. So the project is going to address that as well. The photo on the left, there's two issues we want to take care of here, is lighting and the ceiling. Ceiling tiles, also a very industrial look that's difficult to maintain. As you can see from the water stain, that's a very old water stain. We don't have any water leaks right now on that roof. But we haven't had the ability to successfully get up there and change those tiles. So this project will address that ceiling. Also, the lighting is a rather industrial look that was original and has been a constant maintenance challenge. The lights are not located so that they can easily be changed when the bulbs burn out. As you can see, out of the 4 lights, only 1 is lit. This creates lighting issues, and they've just never really had a theater look, so we wanted to take care of that issue as well. And the last item we were looking at was the recognition donor walls and signage, and getting a comprehensive program together for those. And Barry will be addressing that in just a little bit. So again, to recap, we have a carpet that's going to be replaced. Carpet tiles will be going in. This is a little different. Carpet tiles are individual tile carpet squares. And this makes maintenance a lot better. If you get a permanent stain that can't get out, you can actually pop out those tiles and replace them with replacement ones. Paint, as I said, the wood veneer that's such an issue, we've been working with the designers on various ideas, and they've come up with a stone product much more durable, easier to maintain, and will be fade resistant. We'll be tinting the windows. This will help with carpet fade, and it will also keep it cooler in the summer. And lighting, there's several issues. One is the maintenance, so we're repositioning lighting, and some of the lighting will go more energy efficient where it was financially feasible to LEDs, and then address light levels, making it brighter where it needs to be brighter, and giving it a little bit more theater atmosphere. The last item is signage, and in addition to the donor recognition wall, we'll be upgrading and unifying the wayfinding. And what we mean by wayfinding is just your basic, where's the restrooms, arrows to concessions, and making that a unified program as well. These two images are from the conceptual designs with the designers that we're working on to complete right now. And as you can see, there's warmer colors being introduced. A lot of the grays are leaving. The ceiling has a wood tone, although it's not going to be real wood, and that will match and be similar to what was upgraded in the Founders Room several years ago. Also, you can see on the wood wall has disappeared, and a stone product that will reflect the stone on the outside of the building. We've also added the light chandeliers, again, a more theatrical atmosphere, taking the industrial look away and improving the lighting levels. The carpet on the right looks a little light in this image, but the final product's going to be varied in color and be very patterned to hopefully keep those little stains hidden and the wear and tear that is associated with a venue that's used so heavily. And now I'm going to turn it over to Barry to discuss the donor wall.
All right, thank you, Liz. Madam Mayor, members of the council, the proposed enhanced donor wall is a very important component of this project, and as such, it's probably garnered almost more attention than any other aspect of the Kavli renovation. As you may remember, donor recognition is a key component of the Arts Review Plan recommendations that were approved by City Council. These recommendations included locating space in the Kavli lobby to give the Alliance more visibility, particularly for their Name a Seat program, and also providing resident arts organizations with donor recognition in the city's cultural facilities. Most recently, the Council approved the resident arts organization policy, and part of that policy calls for each of the resident companies to be provided with donor wall space in the Fred Kavli lobby area. During the design phase of this project, staff explored several different options for the location of the donor wall display. This particular view is of the hallway behind the orchestra section. Unfortunately, the majority of patrons would not be exposed to a donor wall in this location, and as such, it was removed from our list of locations. This is a shot from the main lobby. We also explored the wall at the very bottom of the Founders Room stairs, which our architect found to be too small to accommodate even the current number of donor names that we need to place on the wall. The center panel here is not available because we have plans to place a large flat screen monitor here that will feature clips of upcoming performances and information on how to become a donor or a member of the Friends or the Alliance for the Arts. This monitor will serve as a key marketing tool for the theaters, and this location allows the monitor to be the first thing that patrons will see upon entering the theater. The other wall to the right-hand side is where the artist merchandise tables are located. A donor wall at that location would be obstructed most of the time by the merchandise display of T-shirts, posters, and programs that are sold with many of the artists that appear at the Kavli. Another location we looked at was halfway up the Jan's steps, which lead up to the Founders Room. Unfortunately, this location presented accessibility concerns because of the steps, and in addition, because it's on the way up to the second floor, many of our patrons wouldn't be utilizing the steps during performances, and as such, would not be exposed to the donor wall at that location. So the only really remaining space in the main lobby area is the location of the current Friends gift shop. As you can tell by the rendering here, this space actually provides a unique opportunity for us to have a three-dimensional donor wall display in obviously a very highly visible location. It also allows for the larger panels that we need to provide space for additional names to be added in the future. It's important to note that some of the restaurant companies wanted to have their own separate donor wall space when we first approached this project, but due to space limitations, they eventually all agreed to have a single donor display that will recognize the contributions of patrons to all of the organizations. The current plan is to have icons after each patron name, which will identify the organizations they financially support, and if a patron, say, provides $5,000 to several organizations, that patron would be recognized for the total sum of their donations. This is a view of the proposed donor wall looking in from the outside plaza area. The curtain of glass and copper panels will not only serve to diffuse the light coming through the window to the donor wall panels, but it will also look like a piece of public art from the plaza. We think it's a much more welcoming vision for people as they arrive. The copper panels also provide a surface to place the logos of the Alliance and restaurant companies or potentially major corporate sponsors or donors, which then can also be viewed from the outside of the building. So obviously the elimination of the gift shop will impact the Friends of the Civic Arts Plaza, which uses the profits generated from this operation to provide education grants to local school promoters who in turn then use those funds to help bring children to attend performances at our theaters. Since 1994, the Friends has provided approximately $8,500 a year in grants to local organizations. Some years it has been substantially higher than that amount. More recently, it has been slightly less due to the economy. And currently, in the last year, there were 3 local organizations that benefited from those grants. We recognize the hard work and commitment of the Friends volunteers over the years that they've devoted to operating the gift shop, and especially that of Helene Ross and her late husband Herb and Jerry Louie. In considering the gift shop as the location for the proposed donor wall, it was very important to us from the very beginning that the Friends remain whole and that they were able to continue to fund their important education program. With this in mind, the Civic Arts Plaza Foundation Board of Directors has approved providing the Friends with an annual grant of up to $10,000 a year. This money is drawn from profits generated by the shows that the foundation presents in the theaters, and also from revenues that we now earn from the foundation's operation of the theater's concessions. This type of grant is in keeping with the recently expanded mission of the foundation. In addition, the Friends will still have an option to operate a gift shop in the outdoor plaza in front of the theater prior to performances. We had discussions about having a kiosk in the interior, but unfortunately we have discovered that fire safety codes do not allow a freestanding cart of this type in what is considered to be the primary exit ways from the theater to the outside. This recent finding also will impact our concessions operation, because we had hoped to have small concession carts at some performances to take the pressure off of the lines that patrons experience sometimes at our concession stands. In addition, it is also our understanding that the majority of gift shop sales take place during the dance recitals in the spring of each year. Friends can also have the option of selling gift items and flowers from the merchandise tables that are typically utilized by our touring artists to sell the T-shirts and CDs, etc. So I think it's important to remember that there are actually 5 organizations that are impacted by this component of the project. The Alliance and the 3 wrestling companies, as you've heard tonight, need a highly visible donor wall display to help them in their efforts to attract donors and to raise money to support their operations. The Alliance feels so strongly about this that they are providing up to $200,000 to underwrite this part of the renovation project. Of course, we also have to take into consideration the impact on the Friends that utilize the profits from the gift shop operation to fund their education program. If the gift shop remains at its current location, the donor wall would need to be located most likely in the hallway behind the orchestra section, where, as we've already stated, it would not be seen by the majority of patrons attending performances. This is a location that the Alliance and the wrestling companies are opposed to, because they believe that it would impact their ability to attract new donors. It has been suggested that smaller walls in the lobby could also become the donor wall location, but as I've already mentioned, the space is too small to accommodate not only the current number of names, but also having room to add additional names in the future. On the other hand, if we place the donor wall in the gift shop location, then the permanent gift shop would be eliminated. Unfortunately, there is very limited wall and sale space in the Kavli Theater main lobby area, which means that we have to have compromise on the part of each organization. The recommendation to eliminate the gift shop is based upon what the staff believes is the best for the long-term economic viability of the theater. The donor wall will provide the Alliance and wrestling companies with a tool to raise new donations. This will hopefully allow the Alliance to increase its support of the theaters, and for the wrestling companies to become less reliant upon the discounts and fee waivers that they currently receive from the theater's enterprise fund. The annual profit from the gift shop has equaled about $8,500 a year, and the Civic Arts Plaza Foundation, not the city, has agreed to provide an annual grant of up to $10,000 to the Friends. This way they can continue their education program with the schools. And more importantly, this represents an increase over what they are currently raising from their current gift shop operation. It is our hope that this is a way to create a win-win situation for all of the parties involved: the Friends, the Alliance, the wrestling companies, the city, the students, and of course our patrons. There are many hard decisions ahead for the staff and the City Council as we attempt to realign the theater's enterprise fund business model so that the theaters can become self-sufficient. It is our belief that the proposed donor wall recommendation will help to bring the city one step closer to meeting the long-term financial challenges that face us in operating the theaters. And at this point, I'll turn it back over to Liz.
Okay, thank you, Barry. And so in closing, we have a slide on the budget. Right now, our estimated costs are $1.9 million, and that includes the design, any pre-construction cost, construction cost as estimated by our consultants, and a contingency. And with the Alliance contributing $200,000 towards the signage, that leaves a general fund cost of $1.7 million. And the $1.7 million in relative terms for the $40 million city-owned asset is really a small maintenance project that really needs to be done. Nothing over the last 18 years, no significant projects have been done in the Kavli Theater. So the project timeline is the consultants are finishing up bid documents this month. We hope to get into bidding and have contracting done by June. Barry and the theater staff have been involved from day one with the consultants, and we already booked the theater for August to be closed, 2 shows, so that the construction could be completed as quickly as possible. The Forum does have shows going on and will not be impacted by the project, and the construction will be completed by September. And the goal is to have everything done and be ready for the 20th anniversary celebration next year for the theater. And staff and all the theater that have been involved are very excited to get this project moving for this well-needed facelift for the theater. And that concludes our presentation, and we're available for questions.
Thank you very much. And Council, I would like to direct your attention to the green supplemental packet tonight, which contains several comments regarding item 10C, which we are discussing right now. Okay. Questions? Mr. Adam.
Mr. McComb, as far as the donor wall, was I don't know what you call it, the structure above the doors, the existing structure where the names are now, was that ever in consideration?
I guess I'm not exactly sure. When you first walk in, are you referring to the wall where all the names are currently? That's
yeah, the one above the doors.
Well, as you walk in, where the current founding donors are, which is on the large protruding kind of balcony on the second level.
Higher.
Higher than that. We talked about several locations which are elevated in the theater. The concern was, number one, with the volume of names that we're looking to eventually have listed. They're going to be too small for people to see, and if they're that high, they're not exactly within your range of vision when you first come into the theater.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good. A lot of names are good. The kiosk that's been proposed for the outdoor use, is that in this budget?
It is not. The kiosk that we originally discussed with the Friends had a price tag of about $15,000 to it. Had a footprint, I believe, of about 8 feet by 4 feet, 5 feet wide. So certainly if there is the addition of a kiosk out in the Fort Plaza area, then that would be an additional cost to the budget that's being proposed.
So we would intend to add that to this budget then, right?
It would have to be incorporated,
okay.
Correct. Yes.
And just one other quick question. If we have the portable outdoor kiosk and the tables for selling of items, that doesn't preclude, the $10,000 is still on the table as well, correct?
The way that the foundation board presented the $10,000 was that if the Friends had other fundraising means, that they would guarantee up to $10,000. So say the Friends raised $3,000 through other means, then the foundation would step forward with a payment of $7,000 to ensure that they always have a minimum of $10,000 available to fund their education grant program.
I see. So they stand ready to make up the difference.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
I do have a question before we go to the speakers. The area by the backstage area, is that was that ever considered for a replacement for the Friends kiosk or mobile kiosk?
Yes, actually early on we did explore that as a possibility. And it actually presents difficulties for several reasons. One is the kiosk would be right on top of an exit door, which would actually create a worse situation than having it in the center of the lobby. Two is that's also a staging area for going backstage. We give out hearing-assisted devices there when we have backstage meet and greets. That's where we hold people before going back. And to suddenly create that into a bottleneck would create not only security issues for us, but also the safety issues with the exitway.
Mr. Price.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about the capacity of the new proposed donor wall. How many more donors would you be able to place on there? How long do you see that?
It actually will come down to the design that they choose. Our architect that we've hired to complete this project for us has hired a sub-architect who specializes in donor walls. They're the architect that actually came up with the design that you saw during our presentation tonight. What we're providing the Alliance and the resting companies with is what I like to refer to as a blank canvas. So as they design how they're going to structure kind of the blend of all their names together, the sizes that they choose to set the type will really determine how much capacity there is to that space.
Mrs. Irwin?
Yeah, assuming that we decide that this is the spot that you picked is the best place for the donor wall, and I think that we've gone through all the other possibilities and they don't really seem to work. Will you, the Friends found out very late that the fire marshal would not allow the cart in the inside area. Will you continue to work with the Friends to see if there's some other solution beyond just the cart outside?
We will absolutely continue to work with the Friends. And actually, this is maybe a good time to respond to one of the comments that was made earlier this evening about the online gift shop. One of our plans in the coming year is going to be to create a separate website to promote the theaters, which allows us to have more flexibility than working within the city's template. And certainly as part of that project, we could work with the Friends to create a gift shop component that they could post items online to be sold through our sales engine. So there's a variety. I believe there's still a variety of different things that we can look at.
Okay, we have 3 public speakers. Jerry Louie, followed by Nick Kidwai and Tom Cohen.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor and Council. I come to this discussion with having worn a lot of hats regarding the party. I have to be sure I keep my various roles very clear because some are somewhat conflicting. Jerry Louie, a 35-year resident of the Conejo Valley. I am an original member of the Friends, among about 50 of us still in that category. I've served on the board of directors for about 12 or maybe 14 of those years, served as president for 2 years. For the past 10 years, I've been chair of our gift shop committee, which for all intents and purposes makes me management of the business we call our gift shops. Very challenging but interesting job. For 6 years, I was on the Board of Governors, not as the Friends representative, but as Mayor Villapeña's City Council appointee. I'm now the Friends representative to the Cultural Affairs Commission, and as a member of the Cultural Affairs Commission, I'm also a member of the Foundation, Board of Directors of the Foundation. The Friends took a position after we had been briefed by Mr. McComb on this project that, first of all, we support the lobby upgrade. We understand the need for that. We absolutely understand the need for a donor wall to provide proper recognition to donors. We are appreciative of the Foundation's offer to provide funding in lieu of gift shop operations. And let me point out very clearly that when that vote was taken, as a member of both boards, I had to recuse myself under state law. So I did not participate in that discussion. But as a member of the Friends Board, we do appreciate that action. And I also like to point out that over the years, the City Council has supported the Friends in very tangible and intangible ways. Going back to the original of the gift shop, the city contributed $4,000 to get our initial showcases, display cases, and some inventory starting. A number of years later, the city has sponsored to the tune of about $30,000 the upgrade to the permanent location in the Kavli shop. And more recently, when the Shear lobby was Shear City Hall lobby was redesigned, City Council was very supportive of providing us a position for operating gift shop in the Shear. So the Council has a long history of supporting the Friends. And I heard from some of your question, you have still some interest, and I would urge you to continue your support of the Friends gift shop so we can somehow find some alternative way to continue that operation. The one constituency that has been totally ignored in this entire discussion are our patrons. Our patrons love our gift shops. They come and they shop, and they love the fact that we raise money for the kids' programs. And what we've heard so far from patrons who have heard that the shop may be closed down is utter dismay. Said, how can you possibly close the gift shop? And I think that should be an important component of any decision. Patrons are our most important product, our most important constituency. Without patrons, we don't have anything. And every major gift shop in the world has a gift shop. So I urge the Council to continue to urge the Theater Department to try to find some alternative way to provide a real gift shop that our patrons can enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Louie. Nick Kidwai, followed by Tom Cohen.
Nick Kidwai, resident of Newberry Park, Director Concerned Citizens, Thousand Oaks, and one of the first 100 people to join the Friends. And I am just astonished as to this agenda item and the cavalier attitude of staff. What do the volunteers that work in the gift shop have to gain? I mean, pray tell me. I mean, what are they getting famous? Are they getting some kickbacks? I mean, so I'm sorry to say that. It's pure dedication, and that's what is needed more and more to fulfill the promise that you have broken with the taxpayers of Thousand Oaks, that there would be no taxpayer funds used to build this to run these theaters. The gift shop that's in the lobby here is a disgrace. I mean, it should really be expanded. There's the lobby has been redone, but I don't understand. I mean, and for those people, I mean, there were 3 people that wrote originally, and there's about 7 or 8 people that have written again about this issue. And people who are involved in just one thing, there are a lot of people who are just involved in the arts, and they think, well, this is, I mean, it's a great city, great people, nice suit, nice ties, right? Nice smile. These people who come and they have stopped coming, I mean, that criticize the council are crazy, they have a personal vendetta. I mean, this, I can guarantee you that every year, at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times, you have these same kind of fiascos. I mean, this is killing the goose that lays the golden egg. I mean, other cities and other people, I mean, don't smile, sir. I mean, this is serious business. It's really horrible to mistreat those people who are needed. And speaking as a patron, I mean, I love it. I mean, others also love it. And I don't understand that even the new staff people don't understand. By the way, this wall is tacky. That's the best word to describe it. Just like Hooters is tacky. That's what is the best comment that I've heard about Hooters. Just like the digital Automall sign was just tacky. I mean, that's what this council has become and wants to push, is tacky things. I mean, every place has names. You have the names, have them in one place, but it's too big, ugly. I mean, well, I don't know who thought of this donor wall. This should really be sent back to staff. And I and a lot of the other people, we thank the Friends and the founder of the Alliance is over here. The Alliance was always supposed to make up for the difference, not 250,000 or 300. They have completely failed in their mission. I wish them best of luck, but the council needs to re-energize the people and get back to the original mission.
Thank you. Tom Cohen.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. My name is Tom Cohen, resident of Thousand Oaks. I'm here tonight as the representative of the Alliance for the Arts Board. As a representative of the Alliance Board, I want to tell you all that we really appreciate the partnership that we have with the city, as well as the resident companies, as well as the Friends. I wanted to also say thank you to Barry and his team for inviting the Alliance to be part of the dialogue as to what transpires in the theater. But we're excited truly about the renovations that are coming. It's going to help the Alliance in our mission to fundraise the beautification, the 2014, the 20th anniversary. It just helps energize our organization, and we've got some great things coming. Can't tell you about it yet, but we've got some really great things coming. The donor signage, the donor wall, is a key piece of our success. We've had the donor signage up on this high wall for many years now. Now we have an opportunity to put it in a place where patrons will be able to see it, they'll be able to mingle around it, and they'll be able to think about perhaps taking money out of their wallet and supporting the arts here in the Conejo Valley. So we're excited about what's coming. We're excited about having the opportunity to participate in the design of this wall, and looking forward to this project being completed in September. So I'm available to respond to any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Any questions for Mr. Cohen? None? Okay, just also wanted to state for the record that we have 3 statement cards regarding this item. I believe 3 were in favor of the renovation and 1 was opposed and in support of the Friends remaining. All right, let's see here. Mrs. Perez or Mr. McComb, do you have any comments, follow-up comments?
Actually, there's 2 items I'd like to follow up on. Although the speaker has left, I would like to comment on the wall design. This was a design that's been basically reviewed and approved by the Alliance as well as each of the resident companies. It was important to us that they were supportive of the direction we were going because obviously they're the entities that will be out there selling it to their donors. The design and the cut of the design also matches the architecture of the grand staircase in the theater as well, so it does fit in with the overall design within the lobby area. And based on Mr. Louis' comments and previous conversations that we've had with the Friends, in addition to asking you to approve staff to solicit bids for this project this evening, we would also like to recommend that City Council direct us to work, well, I should really say to continue to work closely with the Friends of the Civic Arts Plaza to identify and explore alternative locations both inside and outside of the Kavli Theater that could accommodate the sales of gift items.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? None? Okay, very good. Then I'm looking for a discussion and or a motion. Looks like Mr. Fox would like to say something.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Let me begin by going back to the beginning. As you've mentioned in your comments and in the staff report, we are approaching our 20th year anniversary of the Civic Arts Plaza, and this would be the first facelift, if you will, of the theater and the lobby area. I don't think there's any question that needs to happen. So first, I think the objectives of what we're trying to accomplish are very clear, and I don't think anybody's saying that we don't need this. The second thing that I think strikes me is it's been a very inclusive process. I think the staff has done a good job of outreach and identifying all the stakeholders that would have an interest in this renovation, in the theater, in the city facility. You've done a very good job of that, and we've heard from those folks tonight. So, and then because of that inclusive process, it appears to me that your recommendations tonight are both reasoned and they're measured with respect to what is proposed and your timeline and how to go about doing that. So I'm certainly inclined to move forward with the staff recommendation. I do believe that the one outstanding issue is what to do with the gift shop. It would be my recommendation that the word "lose the gift shop" be not used and find an alternative location that we can find some common ground with some folks that have been really integral and very, very important to the success of this theater. And so staff's done a good job. I just think we need to look a little bit harder, be a little more creative, and find, some reasonable solution to the issue of the gift shop. But the proposal and the recommendations in their entirety are good. They are sound. Even the supporters of the Friends recognize that this is something that needs to happen. We just need to find a way to accommodate what has been a very successful program. So with that, I'm going to move the staff recommendation, further direct staff to work with the gift shop folks to find an alternative location.
Mr. Fox, would you be inclined to include as one of those options the movable kiosk that has been part of the discussion for some time now?
No. And I'll tell you why. I think staff's done a good job. I think if council starts to get specific on recommendations with the limited knowledge that we have, it's my understanding there have been many, many meetings, several hundreds of hours put into finding this. So I think my impression is leave full flexibility with staff, whether it's kiosks, second floor, outside, construction of a separate gift shop. I don't know. I think the intent of the council, if this passes 5-0, is we want the gift shop to be somewhere on the premises and operating in some fashion. That's what we'd like to see.
Mr. Adam.
Well, thank you. I don't think there's any question that the remodeling of the lobby is critical to the success of this theater. I think it's imperative. We need to attract new donors. We need to attract patrons. We need to get it finished by the 20th anniversary. And I thank the Alliance for their significant contribution to this effort. I'm sincerely sorry that the indoor kiosk doesn't look like it can come to fruition. This business with the fire marshal was completely unanticipated, unfortunately. But I can't say enough about Miss Ross and her husband Herb. This has been a labor of love, this gift shop. They were there from the very beginning. They created it by hand, trucked everything in themselves, pretty much built it. And your efforts have been, and Jerry, you as well, your efforts with the Friends are just beyond belief and highly appreciated. What I'm hearing from the staff is that the outdoor kiosk is a recommendation from them. And certainly the indoor tables and the $10,000 guarantee, that's all part of the package. And I certainly appreciate that we would recommend continued efforts to work with the Friends to solidify the gift shop. So what I would ask at this point then to the maker of the motion, that perhaps what we should do is have two separate motions. We'll vote on what's presented to us, and then we'll have another vote on the kiosk, because it would be my opinion that we in fact do make it part of the budget. I'm hearing staff say they're recommending it. So I don't want to be in a position where I'm voting on something that I want to happen, but I'm leaving out something, namely the kiosk budget for $15,000 that I also want to happen. You see what I'm saying? So maybe we have to separate the two.
Well, I think that, Mr. Fox, we could all incorporate that in one motion and have it probably go 5-0. If not, we're going to have to separate it. But I think it is important, because it is staff recommendation to look at the kiosk, to include that money for the kiosk in the budget as well.
Unless you would,
Well,
let me
no,
just
that
ask
is correct right here. It says, Friends can operate a portable gift kiosk in the outdoor plaza prior to performances.
Unless you would
I
want to...
just need to ask Mr. Minnick, is this a location issue, or is this a money issue?
It's not a money issue at this time. It would have to be identified as to what's involved, how much it would cost, and then it could be dealt with. Our options would be presented to council.
Okay, so
it should be part of the review.
Okay, fair enough. That was my understanding. Is not a money issue. It's a location issue. It may be a money issue down the road, but we need to hear back from the staff on that. Are we talking big money, or I don't know. We'll see. It depends on what happens. The other thing is, it's and I know the Chief Smith is here. We can continue to work with the fire department. I was kidding, because they seem to always get, cause problems with that and with in terms of public safety, and I say that tongue in cheek. But there are things in terms of exits, and I don't know where this thing was located. I guess it was near an exit. Maybe it could be located in some different area where the fire department doesn't have the heartburn that they have with exits and public safeties. But we do get a lot of people that come in every year. I just, obviously the last thing we want to do is put anybody at risk if they got to get out of that building in a hurry. So,
Mr. Fox, would you reconsider to include the kiosk as an option, since it's already recommended as part of the on page 7?
Yeah, I'm reading some body language from staff. They're not comfortable with that, and they've done a good job. I don't want to rock the boat here with what's been working.
It is to consider it, and to consider it as an option.
Okay. You all right with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's a recommendation of one of many potential options that we can explore. We're not specifically saying that is the option that we're recommending.
No. Right.
Madam City Attorney?
So I'd incorporate that into my motion.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
As I understand it, the fire issue doesn't exist outside. It's just an inside issue, correct?
I don't know. And like I said, I don't want to start figuring this thing out from the
You
dais.
don't want to
Let's
start a
let
fire,
the staff
right?
deal with it.
Yes, there is a fire issue outside in that there are going to be some limitations of where it can be placed, but there's more flexibility outside because we have a much larger footprint.
Yeah,
of an
the
area.
motion would be to explore, basically. Mr. Price.
Thank you. I think what we have here, and it was mentioned that we have a $30 to $40 million asset that the city is responsible for, and I think to not go forward with this project would not be doing what we've been put up here to do, and that is do what's best for the residents of Thousand Oaks. So I'm going to be certainly in support of the motion.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would be against it. I mean, I'm supporting the renovation. It is desperately needed, and I don't think the fact that it is needed was not an issue with any of the Friends for the Arts. Okay, so Mr. Fox, you're reconsidering and including that in your overall motion. All right. Madam Clerk, do we need to restate that motion for you, for the record? No. Okay. We're all okay now? All right. Maker of the motion, any final comments? None? Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. Item 10D will be presented by our acting Assistant City Attorney, Drew Powers, and it deals with the Newbury Park Post Office for those of you in the audience who are from Newbury Park.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm joined up here on the dais by Mina Leba, who is our Legislative Affairs Manager and has been working on this particular item as well. We're here tonight to seek your authorization to draft a formal appeal letter in opposition of the United States Postal Service's recommendation to relocate an existing post office in Newbury Park. Last October, we were initially informed by U.S. Postal Service representatives that they were interested in moving an existing post office in Newbury Park on Newbury Road to a new annex location on Grande Vista Drive. It's about 2.4 miles away from the existing location. This is part of a larger effort by the Postal Service to downsize, as I'm sure you're aware. This particular move will evidently save the Postal Service $139,000 annually. Most of that is in rent. Currently at the Newbury Park Post Office, it has been in operation for 40 years. The location has 934 post office boxes, and 866 of those post office boxes are currently in usage. At the January 22nd City Council meeting, Postal Service representatives spoke during public comments, and on the 29th of January, approximately 40 residents attended a community meeting, and most of them voiced opposition to the proposed relocation. In response to these resident concerns, staff held a follow-up conference call with Postal Service officials on February the 5th. Staff reiterated the negative impacts of the relocation of the Newbury Park Post Office and the challenges it would present for Newbury Park residents, especially those that are leasing post office boxes. On February the 11th, we sent a letter under the mayor's signature to the post office summarizing these concerns and offering several suggestions to offset or mitigate the move. In a letter that was dated on March the 5th, the Postal Service informed us that they were intended to move forward with the relocation, giving staff a deadline of March the 29th to file a formal appeal. Just in summary, we believe that relocating this post office, based on the concerns we've heard from residents, would have negative impact. We also proposed several alternatives that could mitigate the change, most namely locating an automated Postal Service machine at the Newbury Park Branch Library. None of these potential mitigation measures were addressed by the Postal Service in their correspondence. Therefore, we are here this evening asking for your approval for us to draft, and we have a sample letter in your green packet, a formal letter of appeal that would go to the post office asking them to reconsider their proposed move of the Newbury Park post office. And we are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, I do have a question. They have 866 post boxes, mailboxes there. If they were to decide to relocate, would there be any room for those at the Newbury Park Library?
Locating the post office boxes at the Newbury Park Library?
Well, if the post office decided to co-locate with the Newbury Park Library, which is one of the options.
The only item that we've discussed with the library at this time is locating the automated postal service machine. It has a very small footprint, so that is not an area that we have ventured into.
Okay, thank you. And do we know why, for some reason, they sent a press release out before they sent out a letter to the city, which I thought was quite disturbing?
It is certainly not in keeping with good public process, and we did express those frustrations to the Postal Service officials. The press release came out prior to us receiving the formal letter or notification, and we did not receive any phone call in advance of that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right. Are there any questions? Mr. Price.
Probably not really questions, but comments, rather. I was in attendance at the public meeting where this was first proposed, and it was attended by, there were, I would have to say, closer to 60 residents who were there. And I was a little bit dismayed with the apparent lack of transparency on behalf of the Postal Service. They had come to the meeting already having built out the new facility out on Grande Vista, and that was brought up by one of the residents who had gone up there and visited. And I think that this meeting, whether actually their response when that was brought up to them, that the Grande Vista facility had already been built, complete with P.O. boxes and everything, was that an employee had gotten a little overzealous and they'd gotten ahead of themselves. Well, I think they got way ahead of themselves, and I think they made this decision before they held a public meeting. So I think it's also very regrettable that they've continued that same vein, and they've not taken to enter into any discussions with the city and their rather generous offer, in my view, to co-locate in our Newbury Park branch library. So I've read the letter, and I'm certainly in agreement with the content of it. I only wish that it could be worded stronger.
Mr. Adam.
Just to clear something up in my mind. So if they take our suggestion to locate the automated postal center at the Newbury Park Library, as well as retaining the post office drop box at the current location, that would be in addition to the new Grande Vista proposed location. Well, it's not proposed anymore. I guess it's half started.
That is correct,
Okay.
Councilmember. And we've also offered to find a site for a post office drop box at the Newbury Park Branch Library outside in the parking lot area as well.
All right. Well, that seems like a good idea to me. And just one other thing, Ms. Leba, it mentioned in the report here when you went to the National League of Cities meeting that there was some talk about regarding the Newbury Park post office closure, the policy issue. What do the feds say, and any inside?
We were able to actually have a meeting with Legislative Counsel. His name is Kevin Corbin. He's on the subcommittee of the Federal Workforce, U.S. Postal Service, and the Census of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. And he would be our go-to guy to express any of our concerns regarding the U.S. Postal Service. When we had a discussion with him, although he was very sympathetic to our cause, he did express the overall issues with the budget that the U.S. Post Office is having. And he talked about a reform bill that it's coming down the pike, but it may not come in time for the move that's taking place. He has suggested strongly to us that we work with our local federal officials, namely Congresswoman Brownlee, to have a letter sent to the U.S. Postmaster. During our meetings in Washington, D.C., we received actually a copy of that letter, and we have kept her abreast of those issues. She is also in the process of writing an appeal letter, and that's going to the U.S. Postmaster. In that appeal letter, she's going to strongly suggest that they work with us, local officials, to come up with some sort of beneficial resolution. As part of the resolution, one of the items was a discussion. Staff has made contact with Diana Alvarado, who we've been sending our letters to. We have found out today that the actual contact folks are based in Santa Clarita, and they would be willing to come to us for a meeting, or we can coordinate a meeting in Santa Clarita. So based on your action today, then we can proceed forward.
Well, that's very informative. Thank you. Yeah, I think Santa Clarita is the hub. I'm from having prior experience with that, but anyway, no, that's great. Sounds like we're on the right track. Thank you.
Well, that's good. They should be coming here so we can show them exactly. We give them a little bit of hands-on training here. Okay. Well, are there any discussions or questions regarding the letter? I'm afraid, Mr. Price, 4-letter words are not allowed in this letter. Any other questions? None? Okay. Post. All right. Okay, with that, then I'm asking for a motion to approve staff recommendation. Anyone? Mr. Price?
Be happy to move staff's recommendation on this item.
Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And now we have item 12, which is follow-up reports on meetings, conferences attended by 3 of us on the dais, myself, Mrs. Price, Mr. Price, and Mrs. Irwin. And that is item 12A. All right. Mr. Price and I were in Washington, D.C. Thursday, Friday for lobbying. Mr. Price, and then Mrs. Irwin and Mr. Price attended the rest of the conference. And would you like to take the lead on this, or you want me to do that regarding the lobbying?
No, I certainly defer to you.
Okay. All right. No, we won't flip a coin. All right. So we started with lobbying efforts on Thursday at, I believe, 9:30 in the morning, and finished at 5 o'clock. And one of the items that were high on our agenda was the U.S. Postal Service. We met with Congresswoman Julia Brownlee. We also met with staff from Senator Feinstein's office and Boxer's office. We requested funding also for a floodplain project in Newberry Park. We requested funding for the 101-23 improvement. Hopefully we might be candidates for Tiger 5 program or MAP 21 should that ever be revived. And it was a very full 2 days. Also requested funding for our library archives for the collection that we have that is just outstanding. And the Library of Congress was commending us on our collection that we currently have, the Norman Corwin collection, among others. So that is pretty much what Mr. Price and I did, along with Mr. Mitnick and Mina Leba and our federal lobbyists there. Saturday, I attended a one-day conference on public-private partnerships. That was extremely interesting. And then I left in the evening for Thousand Oaks. And then I'll have Mr. Price or Mrs. Irwin take over after that.
Yeah, if I may, I think it's important to point out that, as you said, we were at a meeting, I believe it was at the National Institute for Humanities, discussing our library archives and seeking grant opportunities. And we were actually pleasantly pleased to know that they knew, certainly in my case, they knew a lot more about our collection than I knew. And that was, I thought, very surprising that back in Washington, D.C., we actually had one gentleman there who had been to Thousand Oaks. So, and that happened in another meeting that took place with there's somebody from the National Park Service, a gentleman from National Park Service who had been out here and had seen some of our open space areas. So we have made an impression on D.C. I, as a relatively new council member here, have to say that the entire experience was absolutely one of the most educational things I've ever done. And I certainly understand the need to go back to D.C. and to lobby our representatives back there, because in the case of the 10123 interchange project, I know that Dennis Gillette had been back there many times, and we would not be as far down the road, no pun intended, as we are today, had it not been for his efforts back in D.C. So I also, I will say that I've been appointed to the National League of Cities Public Safety and Crime Prevention Steering Committee and Policy Committee, and I attended a meeting where the various issues that are going to be discussed and brought forward at future meetings were proposed. So there'll be future meetings, and at some point I'll be reporting back on those. And then I did, in fact, attend the National League of Cities Conference along with Councilmember Irwin, and I think I'll kick it to her to talk about some of those activities.
Yes, I skipped I didn't go to the lobbying because it's really only appropriate to have two people there. The conference was excellent, it's always good to see what's going on in D.C. The big topic, of course, was sequestration and how that's affecting the different departments and cities. Excellent speakers at the end. We heard about gun control and immigration reform, and really got a good idea of where Congress is on that. I did a great session, a half-day session on ethics, and there were a number of other very informative sessions. Always very informative to go to NLC.
Thank you. Yeah, it was my first trip to Washington in 7 years, so I felt like a newcomer myself, Mr. Price. It had been quite a while, but it was very, very educational, to say the least. And we were also extremely lucky to be the last group admitted to the White House on the last day after the sequestration. So we got in just in the nick of time. All right, that's that for our trip to Washington, D.C. Mr. Mitnick, City Manager.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, no follow-up items, but items that are coming up. We heard about the annual Thousand Oaks Arts Festival. That's this weekend, the March 22nd and 23rd. Or the art show, I should say, is this weekend, March 22nd and 23rd at the Lakes. The next council meeting will be on April 9th, and at this time we're looking at a couple study sessions, one dealing with, as part of the budget process, the user fees for the next fiscal year, as well as the solid waste rates. We're coming back to council on that. And then we have one public hearing regarding a residence a private resident that would like to appeal a planning commission decision for their house. And then we'll have an update on Fire Station 35. By the way, we heard talk earlier about the affordable housing and in lieu fees. That's actually scheduled to come to council on May 28th. So we will have follow-up and answers to the questions raised on that today. I do want to make one plug for one other thing. On next Thursday, March 28th, and this will be on the city's website, the Thousand Oaks Police Charitable Foundation will be holding a mix and mingle with the police chief, Randy Pentis, at the Palm Garden Hotel. It's 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., so if you want to come out and show support of your local police department, feel free to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we turn it over to Tracy Noonan, our city attorney, to announce the closed sessions.
Thank you. I have several closed sessions tonight. The first one is conference with real property negotiators regarding property APN 66700800105 located on Caneo Center Drive. Thousand Oaks City negotiators include John Adams, Finance Director, Jay Spurgeon, Public Works Director, Nader Hadari, Senior Engineer, and Chris Norman, Assistant City Attorney, with negotiating party Stu Miller. As a lessee under negotiation, include the price and terms of a lease pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Next item is conference with real property negotiators for property, the parcel located at the southeast corner of 310 Kelly Road and 1872 Newberry Road. Thousand Oaks agency negotiators include John Adams, the Finance Director, and Christopher Norman, the Assistant City Attorney, with negotiating parties for Conejo Valley Unified School District, Dr. Jeffrey Barstad and Dr. Joel Kirstenstein. Under negotiation, price and terms pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Third matter is conference with legal counsel on existing litigation, City of Thousand Oaks versus Parking Network, Inc., case number 56-2012-00415100, CUBC-VTA, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A. And the final matter is conference with legal counsel on existing litigation, Rampersad versus City of Thousand Oaks, case number 56-2011-00408151, CUWM-SIM, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A. It is unlikely I will have anything to report following these closed sessions.
Thank you very much, and we will adjourn to our regular meeting on April 9th, and have a wonderful Easter.